Lifeonaires don't make any less money than anybody else who just focuses on business. And in fact, I think many times they even make more, because when you have a vision and you have a reason why you're making this money, like, because listen, like I know everybody says, yeah, hey, I want to make 100 grand this year, or 250 or 500 or a million, whatever the number is. That's never tied to a vision. It's always tied to ego. Like they want to see if they can do it or check it off the box or whatever. But when it's tied to your vision and you have a real reason and you're gonna have to sacrifice something in your life that you don't want to, something that's important to you, now that gets you fired up. It gets you motivated to make this thing a reality. So in many cases, I think Lifeonaires make more money and they have a life. Like, so you're making more money and you have a better life. Like there's no downside. Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Lifeonaire Show. I'm your host, Jason Wojo. On the Lifeonaire Show, we help people make more, work less, which I love, by the way, and create lives and businesses they love. I am joined by my brother in arms, my partner in crime, Polish Peter. What's up, brother?
I am in undisclosed location right now.
You are in undisclosed location. We can't tell the paparazzi where you're hidden, or else it's gonna be just madness. So
they're already lining up on my door, dude. They're already lining up.
They already know where you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, we'll keep this episode short then, because we don't want to be disrupted by the camera and the press. So, hey, man, listen, I was thinking about this again, and we get a lot of questions in Lifeonaire and about Lifeonaire, and I'm getting hit up on Facebook all the time, and people are emailing me and asking me questions. So I thought, let's do a 5 most common questions we get about Lifeonaire or in Lifeonaire and run with that, man. Sound good?
Bring it on. Let's do it.
Okay, number 1. Why do I need a vision? You want to take a stab at that one?
Well, here's the thing. The reason why you need a vision, because if you think about it, even like if you go to the Bible, what does it say in the Bible? Without a vision,
where there is no vision, the people will perish. Yes.
Right. And the other aspect of it is that if you don't have a vision, how do you know what your guiding light is, what the GPS is, the lighthouse that you're going after?
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you don't have that vision, because I used to live that way.
Yeah.
I used to have what there was like, I couldn't call it a business vision, but I had no life vision. Guess what took over my life? Business. So I think it's so important for people to have the life vision, because one, you want to be very clear where you're heading. What is the reason, what you are doing, the why and the what you're going after here. Because if you don't know that from the life perspective, guess what? Life is going to take over and it's going to dictate for you how you live your life, as opposed to you dictating where you're going after. You know what I mean? So I think that it's so important to have that life vision, because if you don't have that, then you kind of like squirrels are all over the place.
Right. And I'll just add to that, man. Like, I think as an analogy, I'll use a workout plan, right? Because you guys know a lot of my, if you've been following me for a while, like back in the 90s, I was big, into fitness and training people and stuff like that.
So Google, I will tell you, Jason Wojciechowski.
Yeah.
Actually Google specifically.
No, yeah, you could see some training videos online, Jason Wojo, like deadlifts or stuff like that. If you want to look, and
sure,
you have time you want to lose in your life. Yeah, right. So here's the thing though. 10 times out of 10, 100% of the time, the people who I worked with had better results when they actually had a plan. When they had an actual workout where you go into the gym and you know exactly what you're going to do versus winging it, or kind of using what people would call the instinctive method, which to me kind of translate a little bit into lazy, right? And undisciplined. Every single time when you have a plan, you will get better at your results. And so and I don't mean just a plan, but I'd have people journal and write down what they did and how many weights, what they did for weight and how many reps. And they looked back at that. So they knew if they were making progress. If you don't have a vision, how are you measuring progress? If you don't have a vision, how are you measuring if you're getting closer to it? I think Zig Ziglar is the one who said, chances are if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every single time. And so this is something that you absolutely need to guide your life. How are you going to drive from Massachusetts to California without a roadmap, right? You're just going to head west, or I guess, okay, well, good luck with that, but there's probably better ways to do it. So you need the vision to run your life.
Yeah. One more thing about that. Think about it this way, because if you look at the 3-day Gear Lab giveaways that we do, one of the biggest things that people learn in is like, what's my calendar going to look like? Like how many hours that I'm going to end up have to work to live that vision, and 2, how much is it going to cost me to live that life? So let's consider for a minute that you have your life vision, and now you know that you want to work 25 hours a week, and it's going to cost you, say, $300,000 a year to live that vision. Guess what? That life vision gets you very intentional to live that. You have a clear focus to where you want to get to. And if you just look at it from that perspective, holy cow, you can make amazing things happen.
Totally. Again, and I'll just give you the listen as a listener right now. We could go on for hours on almost any of these topics. So we're giving you the top level, a basic level of understanding of these questions. So just hope that works for you. Second question, Peter, is what is a vision? What is vision? I kind of describe, people ask me all the time, is it just a goals checklist? Is it just a list of things to do or accomplish? I'm like, no, it's way more than that. It's a combination of, there could be some things on there that you want to have and be and do and experience and feel, but it's a combination of your identity, your aspirations, your hopes, your dreams, like all of these amazing things wrapped into one special document. And I think that's what makes it different than just a checklist. A checklist doesn't feel exciting to me. It doesn't get me, excited and passionate about my life. My vision does.
Right. And the other aspect of it that I want to add on to it is that vision, it is like your living, breathing document. It's a document that you are basically living by for your life. And what that looks like is when you look at a vision, the two things that you need to have on this vision, I think is very important, is like, what do you want? The what? What is it that I want my life to look like? And then why do I want it?
Yeah.
Those two things. Forget about the how. That doesn't go on the vision, I don't believe. Yep. It's the what and the how. What and the how. When you start looking from all the different areas of your life, like family and friends and spiritual and your needs and wants and regrets and all that kind of things, all of a sudden you get very dialed into what that vision is supposed to look like.
That's right. I kind of think of it almost like a mission statement for your life of sorts, and so that's what a vision is. Okay. Number 3, why do you guys suggest to focus on life first versus just working on, worrying about making money? Like, hey, I want to make money now. I'll worry about life later. In which, Peter, guilty confession right now, I was that guy, and I went through a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs as a result of that. So tell me, why do you think we have to focus on the vision first and business second? Which is totally countercultural, by the way, right? Everybody worries about business first, money first.
Yeah, totally. And by the way, we both learned that last one.
Yeah. We're brothers.
And we have a very similar story about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When I didn't have a life vision, when I didn't have the guiding light for me, guess what took over? Is business. I looked at business, worked at business. I did full-nighters to try to work it out and spend all the time, money, and everything to work that business, make that business happen. What it ended up happening is it took over my life to a point where now my life was not really existent. So I think the reason why it's so important to have that life vision and work on that first, because think about it. Why do we do what we do in life? We do it so we can have the financial freedom, so we can travel, so we can spend time with the family. So
you mean business or life?
In life.
Okay.
Now, what do we do with the stuff in business? Like
Okay.
Why do we do that, right? So we can do all those things, right?
In life, right.
Yeah. So what ends up happening, the people who are focusing on the business, a lot of it happens, this idea of someday when I do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then I'll get that.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that someday never comes.
Well, to your point, man, like I think people, you mentioned it, like the biggest reason anybody goes into business for themselves and take on the risk, the obligation, the uncertainty, is because you want to live a better life. Like the life is a goal and business is your vehicle to get there. And so you have to know what that life is going to look like if you're going to give yourself a fair shot of creating a business to serve that life. I'll use an example you mentioned earlier. Like, let's say, you decide in your vision, you discover that you want to work remotely from Portugal 4 months a year. Well, guess what? That's going to have a huge impact on how you run your business and perhaps even what business you choose, what you do in your business. And so you got to make sure that you're doing, all of these things really deliberately and strategically around your life. And once you have that life vision done first, now you can make the best decisions for your business to serve that life.
Wow, you finally said something smart.
Dude, it's a good thing this is recorded because otherwise I wouldn't believe it either.
No, but seriously, it's so true. Think about it. Because most people, without having that life vision, how do they design their life? Most of the time is based on the current circumstances, current experiences, what's going on in their life. And now I need this. Sometimes it's about the keeping up with the Joneses, whatever it might be. And what you just said, it basically start to design that business that a lot of times doesn't align with the life. Like, here's the thing. Back in the day when I didn't have the vision and I was the business, I wouldn't be right now, if I run my life the way I did back then, I wouldn't be at this undisclosed location right now. I get to do this because I designed my business to be supporting my life, not the other way around.
Yeah. Yep. Dude, love it, man. All right, dude, we're flying through these, man. This is awesome.
Right on, bring it on.
All right, we got two more. Okay, next question. Are Lifeonaires lazy? I get this all the time, man, that Lifeonaires are a bunch of underachievers, slackers, like, we're like, and I'm like, no, that's not at all true. And so what I tell people is like, listen, we're just pursuing what's really most important, that's a lot more than just making a ton of money. Like, yeah, that's fun, but there's more things that are more important. And I think what we're doing is, I don't want to even use the term lowering the bar. Like, I think it's a different bar. Like, it's just a different standard that we're looking for. We once had a student who was really kind of stuck on themselves and a little too proud about the fact they'd made 7 figures the year prior. And turns out, though, they were working 70 or 80 hours a week to do it. While one of our coaches sat down with them and said, listen, what's going to impress me? Not this, but if you can do this in 20 hours a week. And that student, in fact, took it as a huge challenge and did some amazing things with that. But, that's a different bar. And so we're not telling you to lower the bar. We're just saying, like, hey, I want you to love what you do. I want you to work hard, right? But you do it in a way that doesn't compromise the things that are most important to you.
Right. And see, the other aspect of it is Lifeonaires, I think, are very intentional.
Yeah.
I think that word intentional is super duper important when it comes to Lifeonaires, because think about it this way. When you have your life vision and you know that in order for me to live that vision, let's say go hang out with my kids or spend time with my wife or whatever it might be, I have to be very intentional in my working hours to be able to do that. Now, also, the other aspect I think that's very close to this particular question is like, Lifeonaires not about making a lot of money. I don't believe that's true,
dude. But no, not at all.
Be very clear with the what that money looks like and whatever. And what happens when people don't have their life vision, I don't believe they have a full clarity on how much money they need to make to live their life, and that bar keeps moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'd even say that, man. Sometimes people. I'll tell you this. Lifeonaires don't make any less money than anybody else who just focuses on business. And in fact, I think many times they even make more, because when you have a vision and you have a reason why you're making this money, like, cause listen, like I know everybody says, yeah, hey, I want to make 100 grand this year or 250 or 500 or a million, whatever the number is. That's never tied to a vision. It's always tied to ego. Like they want to see if they can do it or check it off the box or whatever. But when it's tied to your vision and you have a real reason and you're gonna have to sacrifice something in your life that you don't want to, something that's important to you, now that gets your butt moving, man. And that gets you fired up. It gets you motivated to make this thing a reality. So in many cases, I think Lifeonaires make more money and they have the life. Like, so you're making more money and you have a better life. Like there's no downside.
Right. And one of my students right now is traveling around the country in an RV that he ended up, and he was the guy who was thinking that I need to do my business first before I do my life. He just swapped those two things and started focusing how the business is going to support my life.
Yep.
And guess what? Now he's able to do that.
It's awesome, man. So awesome. All right. Last question. So this one I get a lot. Hey, can I live my vision while I still have a job? And if not, like, how do I quit my job? Because I'm working 40, 50 plus hours a week at my W-2. And I don't think that's something I want to do long-term. Like, so what do we tell somebody like that?
Well, I think what happens is depends what kind of job you have. But I think what happens is you start implementing certain parts of that vision. And I think the more you start implementing those certain parts of the vision, you start seeing that light and you start getting very creative to be able to transition out of the job into being, living that financial freedom. Because we're not telling you to like, listen, next week. I mean, I guess it depends on people, right? Because specific situations, because if you have certain amount of income or you have, whatever your bank account looks like, whatever, you may very well go and quit next week. And because your identity prevents you to quitting. Now, some other people need to figure out the money first before they can quit. So it depends on a specific person and their vision and what they're looking to do. But I think it's very important to start seeing that, hey, there's a process here. Yeah. It's a process. As long as you trust that process, you're going to be able to transition out, because we see it all the time. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think you hit on something really important, is like you mentioned the vision. And so I think whether you have a job or not, you got to get the vision done. And when you get that vision done, you start doing a few of the things, right? You're not going to, yeah, like you said, you're not just going to wake up like a Monday morning and your vision's going to be 100%. You're doing it. Like, that's just not the case. It takes time. You got to implement, you got things to change and adjust. And so you start living a few things from your vision. And I think I think seeing that is going to, first of all, give you more clarity as to, hey, can I really live my full vision? Because here's the thing. Sometimes people get overly excited about going into business for themselves when it turns out like they can live their entire vision and they love their job already. And they just feel like because they're around a bunch of other entrepreneurs and investors, they have to do that too. That's not true. Right. Like you might love what you do. Or here's the other thing. Maybe you take the time to create some passive income and some residual cash flow that allows you to quit your job. And what I've seen happen in that case is like people still stay at the job because they still like it. But when you don't have to work there, but instead you get to work there, you have that choice, like, hey, I can step away at any time. It feels a whole lot different. So I guess what Peter is saying, I'm in agreement, is like start living part of the vision, see how that feels. Also start work. And one of these other episodes, we've covered the 4 stages of financial prosperity. Start looking into creating asset-based income rather than you working for it, and see how that feels. And which, by the way, listen, if you're gonna quit your job, now you have the parachute to get you there, and you've already created some based income, so you have that flexibility and freedom. You don't have to jump ship and build your parachute on the way back, on the way down. You have a cushion. You have a safety net, and so that's going to allow you, I think, the clarity to do that. Now, the other thing, and that's the tip of the iceberg. If you're actually going to go into business for yourself, there are a number of things to consider. Like you got, and actually spoiler alert here, there, we are working on a publication right now it specifically goes into we already have a 1-year job elimination plan. And we're going to expand that, where it's going to be a pretty big training for you. But you got to look at mindset. Like if you've been an employee your whole life and now all of a sudden you have the freedom and flexibility to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and the business is all on you, that you got to make sure you're ready for that mentally. You got to worry about, how you handle work hours and balancing that with family life, especially if you're working out of the house. You got to worry about the finances, making sure you're planning accordingly. You got to work on the business. And so there's multiple things here, but in the short time we have together, I think the advice that you got was really, really good and solid to start you in that path of starting the process of quitting W-2.
Right. One other thing that I want to mention in regards to is this. If you think about everything that we just talked about, it all goes back to that vision. Everything goes back to that vision. That's why it's so important. Like it's like a step number 1. It's a super duper important. Do not move to stage 2, step 2 before you do step 1.
Yeah.
Now, one of my students, he loves his W-2 job. He loves it. He gets a lot of satisfaction from it. He loves the people he works with. There is no significance and all that certainty. He gets a lot of it. He loves it. What he ended up doing is went and shared his vision with his boss. And he talked to him about it, and they shared with it. And now guess what? The boss, shockingly to him, has opened up possibilities for him to be able to have certain hours, or, it's like, as you finish that part, you get that done, then you can go and do this. He doesn't have as much of the, like restrictions or whatever you want to call it, because he shared his vision with him. And now the boss was interested in how is he doing it and all that kind of stuff. And
that's really cool.
And that's circle. So,
well, and let me say one more thing, man. And like, because I think sometimes somebody who has a W-2 may feel like entrepreneurs or business owners kind of looking down on them because they're working for the quote unquote man. I don't think that's true at all. And if you love what you do, then do it. Like, now with that being said, we didn't even talk about this, but we've seen many, many students have a tremendous degree of success, kind of relating to your point, Peter, with being able to kind of massage their job responsibilities and hours a little bit, especially now that most people are working from home. So keeping their output consistent, but cutting down their work hours and having more flexibility in their schedule. Whether that means working less days per week or less hours or different hours, you can start to have those discussions with your boss. And in fact, we have a student, we've had him on the podcast, Brian, who I talked with recently and caught up with him. And here's a guy who used to have a W-2. He's working, big, large hours, lots of travel. He's cut down to a fraction of those hours. He quit. This is hilarious, by the way. He quit, became a consultant for the same company and made multiples more than he was getting paid as an employee. And so his income hasn't changed, but his hours have been reduced by 75%. And so it's just amazing to see that. So don't give up on the idea of a job if you like it, and it's just the hours that are giving you a hard time, because there's some flexibility there. I bet you're not fully, wrestling with there.
Yeah. One thing that I've learned during this entire process with writing visions, helping people write visions, and when we teach in front of the 3-day Get Life giveaways and things like that, when you put the impossible in a vision, when you start looking from that perspective, like what's the impossible thing that I can go after? And in the corporate world, in the job world, you say, well, I need to be there 40 hours a week, whatever it is, whatever the belief is. If you put the impossible, it keeps shocking me to what is actually happening, what's possible for people.
Yeah.
They step out, they get creative, and all of a sudden, they get to live that part of their vision. So put the impossible on there and go after it. You might be surprised what comes for you.
Love it, man. That's so true. Well, listen, guys, we're going to keep this one short. I think I hear the paparazzi beating down Peter's door right now as we speak. So 3 things. Number 1, if you like this, which I hope you did, like, as in a thumbs up, share, as in share it with people around you, tell them about the show, let them post it on Facebook, this episode or recording or something like that. And 3, subscribe to the channel. Actually, hold on. I'm going to give you bonus points. You had three assignments right there. We give you one more. Go to Facebook, get in our private Facebook Lifeonaire group. It's awesome. There's all kinds of great conversations going on over there. And you can be part of the community, and we'll help you move towards that vision. That's all I got, guys. Until next time, we will see you with another episode of Lifeonaire Show. Take care, everyone.